Welcome back to Cryptids and Cold Ones. I am John.
And I'm Evan.
And I'm Kyle.
And today on the Cryptid Observation Corner, we have, I would say, our biggest guest yet.
Oh, for sure.
Thank you.
We have Levi Jamison with us. He is a field researcher with BFRO, which is the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization. And he is also the director of the North American Research Center of Paraufology. That's a hard word to say.
Yeah, it is. It is. People mess it up all the time.
So, housekeeping?
Housekeeping!
Want me fluff your pillows?
We are on all the socials: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Kick, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace.
Farmers only.
Evan's still on feetfinder.com. I think that's about it, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Pretty slow on the socials these days.
Yeah, it's hard to keep that going. A good steady streak is hard to keep going.
Oh, yeah.
But you can also reach us at our number, 989-402-4091. Call in with your sightings, your ghost stories. Have you ever been abducted and they did weird things to you while you were in the UFO? We want to hear about it.
So
I'm pretty happy I got the phone number right this time.
Yeah, what was I think the
last week I started giving out my personal number.
Oh, that would have been hilarious.
I caught myself right as I was getting ready to start the last 4 of it.
Cracking cans would have had a field day with that one.
Yeah. They can get a hold of me anytime.
Yeah. Well, I know they'd probably do something like, give the number to listeners. And,
No, they would put me on every mailing list they could find.
All in at 3 a.m. with your sightings.
So yeah,
I like that you guys pulled the. The housekeeping.
Yeah, you got that one.
Great movie.
When we do our regular recordings, I get a little carried away with the soundboard. So every time we say our names, I play a different sound every episode for each of us. And part of the actual our normal shows is we're also reviewing a beer. And as soon as we crack it open, I play I play Stone Cold Steve Austin, so
that works.
If I'm not reading on the episode, I get very carried away with the soundboard. But
that's fine. I'm not positive, but I feel like at one point I read a story about how David Spade ad-libbed that, and it wasn't supposed to make it in, and it was so good that
I believe it.
I think I've read that too.
Yeah, those two guys.
That's a pretty girl. She must be dating one of the Yankees.
R.I.P. to Chris Farley. I wish that.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
So the voice you hear is
tend to keep
that. We always get a little bit of lag when we hit record.
Oh yeah, no worries.
So yeah, the voice you guys hear that is Levi. Would you like to kind of introduce yourself and tell us 4 fun facts about yourself?
Yeah, I can do that. My name's Levi Jamison. I was born in the high plains of Indiana. When I say high plains, I'm not being serious. That's a complete joke. Indiana has, I think the highest point of elevation is 1,100 feet, which is astronomically tall. If you're I run, I'm a BFRO investigator. I am currently living in St. Louis, Missouri, probably one of the worst cities I've ever been in, but Missouri has a really wild history of anomalous activity, and I didn't know about it until I got here, and I was kind of like, oh wow, this is way crazier than what I thought it was going to be. I drive a Ford truck, and I like to walk alone in the woods with a ridiculous movie camera and a ton of equipment, and try to talk to whoever is paying attention on the other side. Yeah, I think that's 4 things. I'm terrible with numbers. I probably can't read 4 right. I'm not sure yet,
I was just spitballing with the 4 things.
So, yeah, that works. 4 things is good. What is the difference between 4 and 5? I don't think people really know.
Yeah, right. So like when we were talking off air, I had mentioned that I had really tried to look into the research center. And that was kind of the first thing that I wanted to talk about is, kind of learn more about that, what you guys do,
Cool. Yeah. So, it's a new thing. It's right around a year old. I got really frustrated with the complete regurgitation of information in UFO research. If you really pay attention, everything just gets recycled every 10 years and it turns into a new thing. So we had Tic Tacs, we had fast movers, we had flying saucers, we had, whatever.
We now have orbs.
We now have orbs. Yeah. Like all this stuff. And
orbs are so hot.
Yeah. It's like, oh God, that's a whole, I mean, you could literally do like a month's worth of a podcast about orbs and how to debunk them and everything. But with NARCOP, I have some really cool guys that I talk to that are much older than I am. And I said, okay, what do I need to do to actually make some headway in the search for, the UFO truth or whatever the buzzword is of the year? I hate the term UAP. It's dumb. It's a UFO. That's what it is. It is what it is. The government
agree.
doesn't change. It's terrible, right?
I think we're all on the same page with that one.
Yeah, the marketing team at the Pentagon or whoever said, "Oh, we need to do this. Like, we got to stop being scary." So, like I said, I asked some really key people, what do I need to pay attention to really make some headway? And they said, ignore everything past basically the 80s and early 90s. And I said, okay, cool, I can do that. What else do I need to do? You need to pay attention to occult magic. Okay, what else do I need to do? You need to go in the woods alone and do all these weird experiments and talk to the weirdest people you can find. And when you start getting weird emails or phone calls, you're on the right track. So started NARCOP. It's privately funded. And, within the first, I would say 3 months, everything totally changed research-wise. I started getting these weird things happening in the woods. I started having the weird emails come in, and some of them have led to some really, really cool connections with some very big names in early UFO research and early, attempts at modern American rocketry and propulsion and all of this. My research area is, and I tell people all the time the same thing on every interview I do. It's in Weldon Springs. It's 22 minutes from my house in St. Louis, Missouri. If you want to come, shoot me an email, contact@narcop.org or levi@narcop.org. I will not only take you out, but I'll guide you in. What I will not do is point you in a direction where I know there's anomalous activity. So with the 10 people I've taken out so far, I say, meet me here. This is what you need to bring. We're going to walk this way. You tell me what happens. And sure enough, the area is so hypercharged with high strangeness. There's always something that goes on. So paid attention to the old guys, listened to them, started doing what they had, kind of given me the path of least resistance to interact with, the beyond or whatever. And it's paid off. I'm fairly new. I think I'm the maybe the youngest BFRO investigator that's like put on in a long time. Everybody's like way older than I am, which is cool because I get a lot of info from these old guys that are like, back in my day, we didn't use electronics. And I'm like, okay, well, that's good info. So that just happened this year. So I'm always out on expeditions. Like I said, I just got home at 4 a.m. last night because I was in Shawnee National Forest, standing in the woods with 3 other people going, why are we getting whistled at right now? And, you know, the whole thing with NARCOP too, that is kind of different. The UFO and the BFRO, the UFO realm and the Bigfoot realm have historically not agreed at all, right? Like,
Right,
so
correct. Yes.
Which is, if you think about it, it's asinine, because what's essentially happening is the Bigfoot realm's going, you UFO guys are crazy. You have no clue what you're talking about. Everything you're talking about is a lie. And then, you know, vice versa, the same thing. So with NARCOP, the thing is, we think of everything originating from one point. We don't think that anomalous activity and UFOs and ghosts and Bigfoot and specters, orbs, buzzword, whatever else, white crawlers, you know, rakes, we don't think that they're from different areas. We think that they're generated in one specific location, and we have access to that location when you do the right, you know, things in the woods or the right experiments. We also believe that a lot of what people experience, they're manifesting themselves, which is kind of like a weird way to think about it. There's this term called hyperstition, which came from the early 90s. It's basically the thought that when a concentrated group, a large group of people focus on one superstition or one thing that's connected to the anomalous realm, all that power with the brain, you know, firing and whatever, is creating that actual phenomena. So the UFO phenomena, there's a million people thinking about UFOs all the time. Like, you know, so same with Bigfoot, same with, I mean, Dogman. Dogman is like the hot thing. Like everybody's like, I saw, yeah. Like
our
so
very first episode was on the Dogman. And at the end of it, we were like,
cool.
maybe it's a tulpa.
Yeah.
which is right. Yeah, it's right along the same lines of what you're talking about.
Yeah. So it's like we try to look at everything as like approachable from one point. And now it's turned into, how do we access that point? So we do dive into some really weird stuff. A lot of manipulation with electronics. I build ridiculous cameras, ridiculous systems, ridiculous sensors, a lot of stuff that has helped me like really collect hard data, which is cool because it's not really been done this way. And like I said, it's, you know, originally it was, I'm tired of all this UFO crap that's just recycled. What do I need to do? The old guys said, do this and you'll have success. And what's really cool is all of the instrumentation that I've built has very similar to what's called a Frank's box. Have you guys heard about a Frank's box?
I have not.
So Spirit Box, the Spirit Box, SB7, SB9.
Yeah.
You know, they talk to ghosts or whatever.
Yeah.
So Frank Sumptions was guided by some ET entity that told him how to make these things called Frank's boxes. I've heard conflicted information on how many Frank's boxes are out there. I've heard 180 to 202. But these things produce really weird effects and yield really, really crazy information, usually in the audible or automatic writing form. People are kind of guided to like write stuff down, or when the sessions are recorded, there's stuff that's said that's really, really pointed and downright freaky to those who have had their ears, you know, adorned by a Frank's box. So just like Frank's assumptions, I started getting these ideas about all these electronics, and in a really weird turnaround way, I kind of feel like it's some sort of guidance, like you're paying attention, you're doing completely different than most people. We are going to start showing up, and we're going to start showing you how, or telling you how to do more. So yeah, so that's a long answer, but that's basically, we think it's from one area. We think we manifest a lot of it through the power of your brain. And then we also think that it's all connected, and it's just showing up as different things to different people based off of what the human psyche can handle as an individual, or religious beliefs, or whatever.
Right.
It's complicated, but mysterious.
It's like a grand unifying theory of cryptids and paranormal is basically what I'm getting here.
Kind of. Yeah. I mean, like being a BFRO investigator, I kind of hit two sides with that. Like I fully believe that Bigfoot is its own thing, right? And what I've seen happen in the field, what I've caught on camera, what I've recorded audio wise, and what I've seen in my location on its own, like I know these things can come in and out. I just did a couple interviews about 2 weeks ago at this point. We were on an expedition in northern Missouri, and I had what was considered a Class A, which is a full visual of one of these dudes hanging out. And that whole thing was highly frustrating. It was on the tail end of the storm. The director for the BFRO in my area, her name's Marianne Zabel. She is I don't know how, but this lady knows where to go. And every time we go on an expedition, her and we play off of each other. Like, I don't know if it's psychically or whatever, but she'll pick up one thing and I'm picking up the other. And when we both look at each other and go, this is happening, we know something's about to happen, which is a weird thing to have happen. We were on the tail end of the storm. She basically had something that was smacking the side of her tent because she stuck her cell phone with the light on, or the screen illuminated facing out. And it was like torrential downpour, like really bad tornado weather. And she calls me at like 11:30 at night, and she's like, something smacking the side of the tent. Marianne never calls me at night. I'm usually up till 4 or 5 on expeditions because I'm out like walking around and trying to see what's coming through. I'm essentially nocturnal at this point. Like 2 a.m. is 8 a.m. or 2 p.m. is my 8 a.m. for everybody else. So yeah, something smacking the side of the tent. She's freaking out. She calls me. I'm laying in a pop-up tent in my birthday suit because it's like 90 degrees. I don't have a camera, a flashlight, or anything whatsoever that makes sense. My shoes are tied to the outside of my truck. And long story short, she's like, get out of the tent. It's right there. I had seen a figure that was about 9.5 to 10 foot tall, not a real like solid description of height because it was doing this, but it was standing in front of a barn door opening. And then at the back end of the barn door was a china cabinet with a mirror. And I saw essentially what would have been the right portion of its head, its right shoulder, and the right side of its body moving in front of this mirror, so causing the reflection to be blocked by the light. And in an attempt to try to see it more, I auto turned on my truck from my phone. And as soon as the engine fired and the lights came on, this thing blasted to its left at like 90 miles an hour. And I caught what is essentially it turning to the right, white eye shine with 6.5 to 7 inches apart between each eyeball. And then the outline of it in my headlights. And then it dove into this field where we had activity for 5 days before, or 4 days before this. This is not the first, what everybody calls Class A. I go along with it and say it's Class A because it is considered a Class A. You're seeing the full, image of this thing, right. But it's not Class A until I'm shaking hands with something or I'm right there and it's in full form for me, So yeah, I mean, it's like like, I think that on these BFRO things, usually what shows up is Bigfoot-esque or Sasquatch or whatever, hairy people, whatever you want to call them. And my theory always has been and always will be is that Bigfoot on the brain is what's causing that to come through. There's been times in different locations where people have seen Bigfoot-esque phenomena, and I've seen totally different, but it's because my brain is, you know, I mean, depending on who you talk to, some people are like, the devil knocks on Levi's door and he's opening and saying, hey, what's up? Like, you know, which is not the case, but I see things differently, and I see things play out a lot different than most of the people that are on the expedition. And there's always 30 people going on these expeditions. So, you know,
that's like a that's a pretty big
it's a lot
to have out there, and to actually still, you know, have, you know, interactions. And
we get it all the time. It's kind of when my first expedition with the BFRO as a civilian was March of last year. Marianne likes to tell people that I catfished her into thinking that I was just some normal dude that was interested in Bigfoot. I went on the expedition. I'm chronically late to everything. I don't know why. It's probably just my brain's going, what do I need to take? What do I need to get? So I showed up really late and pulled in at about 11:30. What is really funny is the location that we were at, I didn't know about until the week before. But the town name is the same town name of the town that I was born in Indiana. So there's a synchronicity there that got really weird. And I was immediately like, okay, this is good. This is good information that's coming through.
Yeah.
I showed up. I did some normal wood stuff for me. I have this device I call a telephone. I've talked about it pretty regularly on every podcast interview I've done. It's a device that makes sound, and I'll leave it at that. I don't go into it, because if you make one and you do it the wrong way, very bad things can happen, and I don't want to be responsible for that. So if you go on an expedition and you see it happening and you know what it is, you know, you kind of you're lucky because you're seeing the thing happen, like in person versus like getting the description of it. But yeah, so I did, you know, I made this thing called a telephone call, which is what we call it at this point. And essentially I told Marianne, hey, I'm going to do something from 1:30 to 1:40. I'm going to see what comes through. I feel like we're in a good spot. And 1:50 hit. And from 1:50 until about 5 a.m, it was an onslaught of activity right next to where everybody was camping. And I wasn't the only person that experienced it. The second night, 17 of us watched a UAP, a UFO, about 60 feet off the ground, a white light moving around pretty still, like not erratically, but, you know, like pretty controlled. We interacted with it directly via white light, red light, a laser. We had two groups that went out to try to find a source of where the light could be potentially coming from. So we're debunking in real time. No one was able to find a light source. And then a gentleman named Lou from Missouri said one of my favorite things I've ever heard during, you know, scientific exploration or an expedition. And he said, what happens if we walk up to it? And I said, well, I mean, we could be totally fine. We could have something happen with, you know, medical effects later on. We could get sucked up into this thing and disappear. And he just looks at me and he goes, we're walking to it. Curious minds got to know. And I was like, champion moment. Like, this dude is down. Like, cause I'm walk up to this thing and all these people are like, no. And I'm like, we're going. And he's like, we're going. So 2 hours this happened. And we hit a property fence line. I didn't really want to get shot if it was someone in the property. So we stopped at the fence line because it was private property. But we watched this thing for 2 hours. And then the next night, what was really cool is that light moved to a different location, still in the same field, but the same erratic behavior, not erratic, but the same like controlled behavior, almost like it's scanning for something in the ground. After that second night, I got absolutely annihilated by what people consider infrasound. We had some more stuff happen the first night that was wild. I did a telephone call in a different location, and something came running through the trees. It sounded like a tank just smashing through the trees at like 100 miles an hour. I wear shooting muffs in the woods that are tweaked so I can hear really low versus like the high-pitched bugs and everything, because I'm listening for footfall or tree knocks or vocalization far. Marianne had those on. She heard a large diaphragm, very low boom, like really loud in the headphones, but it wasn't heard outside of the headphones, and they were not hooked up to anything. And as soon as she heard that, it sounded like a freight train coming through the woods at us. At the same time that this is all happening, it's her cousin Marty, I'm here, and then four other gentlemen, one of them being a really killer tracker and also a police officer from South Carolina. He comes walking in with his group. They were trying to track stuff out of this location, and we had thermal night vision, FLIR, red light, green light, white light, and there was no signature whatsoever, but we could physically hear in real time this thing moving through the trees, and it was absolutely massive. So all that happens. I get annihilated by infrasound. I drive home a day early because I'm so discombobulated. I think it's Sunday, and I was coming home on Saturday, so I left the expedition a day early. I woke up the next morning, and my girlfriend was like, "Why are you getting ready?" And I'm like, "I got to go to work." And she's like, "It's Sunday." And I was like, "No, it's not. It's Monday." She's like, "No, it's Sunday." And I was like, "Okay, that's weird." And just went back to bed, But Marianne likes to tell people now that they didn't have weird stuff happen until I showed up. And the minute I showed up, everything started going crazy. And I always say, just kind of jokingly, I'm like, it's not my fault, but maybe it is my fault because of the research that's happening aside from, the Bigfoot expeditions. So, yeah. If I get long explanation, you can just cut me off too, because it's.
No, you're good. I'm liking every minute.
I'm interested.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah. It's just we just try to get really weird. Like honestly, that's what it is. It's like think differently and get super weird and see what happens. And usually, it works out pretty well.
Do you feel like, were you putting things out there? Like you said, you started asking the right people, and then you were doing the right things, and that's when everything started coming like full circle to you. Were you putting it out there that you were doing this stuff and this is what you were finding, or was it just started trickling in on its own?
So do you mean like publicly, or like was I telling anybody?
Like publicly, were you putting it out there?
So that's what makes it really interesting is all of the things that started coming through. The only time anyone heard of the stuff that I was doing publicly, and it's honestly like 3% of what's actually going on, was I was asked to do some interviews, and I'm like, yeah, like, this, like I dabble with occult magic to try to make contact with like Bigfoot of all things. Like I do this in hopes to like try to see what comes through and peers into my world versus, what I'm seeing from my end. So it was public to the extent that people knew that I was doing some different stuff as far as like the path of research goes, but no one knows really other than the 3 key people that needed to know. And they never tell anybody. That's the cool thing. This triangle of people, like, they don't even communicate individually. Like I talk to them directly as a separate entity or unit, So there's no outside influence from people that are like, oh, I can email this guy, or I could call his phone, or I can find out where he lives and does this and this, and or do this and this and this. So what's cool with doing it like that is you know it's legit because there's no outside access for information to anybody. And that's kind of like I told you guys earlier, like the website is deceivingly hard to even think that it's real because that front page is a false page that requires a code just for protection. You know, I drew a lot of inspiration from the secret government entities that are like, you know, controlling stuff or whatever. Like I was like, okay, how do these guys share info, and like, what did they do initially? And it's like, well, they were just like mad secretive on purpose. So they didn't get false positives or false information. So no one knew what was going on except for the people that needed to know what was going on. And they're not hoaxing, which is, you know, kind of cool to say, because you wake up to an interview, or you wake up to an email that is so direct and so odd that you're like, there's something paying attention. And I'll share some with you guys. I ask that you don't release them, but when you start reading the threads, you'll be like, oh, that's like weird. Yeah. So, you know, like, okay, so this is a cool one. So, I went to Half Price Books with my girlfriend, right? And I had bought a book that it's called Living Magic. It's nothing really crazy. Magic is misspelled. There's no K, you know, the way that there should be, if you know what I'm talking about, but there's 3 authors, and one of the authors is a gentleman named Joseph Netch, right? K-N-E-C-H-T, which is a pseudonym or a ghost name. I bought this book in September of last year. I bought this book in September of 2024, right? 6 months later, I get a completely off the wall, out of nowhere email from what I later found out is a group of people who have access to really cool information. But what was crazy is the name that it came under is Joseph Netch. I didn't put those 2 things together until maybe 2 or 3 weeks later. And the email that came through was so cryptic that it took me months to crack this thing, basically. Like, I was like, I saw the last name, finally put 2 and 2 together at the end of the day, end of a short amount of time. And then to actually figure out what that email was saying took months. It was stressful. And they kept coming in, from different people under the same name, under the same email. So there's that connection right there. There's no way anyone knew that I bought that book. I hadn't talked about the book. I hadn't even mentioned it to anyone other than my girlfriend. And she's Taiwanese. She's not going to hoax. She looks at me like I'm crazy when I tell her stuff happens. And then she's like, oh, okay, that's cool. And when I put it together, I like jumped up in like a frenzy and was like, holy crap, like this is connected. And I didn't realize it. And she's like, okay, maybe you're not as crazy as I thought. And I'm like, but it's one of those things. It's like that thread of like that name, and that name, Joseph Netch, has a lot of connection magically to some stuff that, you can Google and find it, right? I used the name and the NAEQ cipher. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, the new Aeon English Cabal cipher.
I know
comes from Crowley. Crowley got it from IWAS and Lamb and this whole like automatic writing thing for like Liber One, basically. Cipher.
I'm catching up.
Yeah.
I did some research for an episode on the occult. I haven't finished it yet, but
cool. Yeah. Crowley was a quack. Don't strike me down wherever you are. He was a quack. But he had some really key info that came through kind of on accident. But this book right here, Secret Cipher of the Euphonauts by the great Dr. Alan Greenfield, that cipher basically allows you to take keywords or weird names and it turns them into, it gives you a number value and then a code with some other numbers or some other words connected to it. And it allows you to build these weird, like threads of keywords put together that make a sentence. So I ran Joseph Netsch through the cipher, and lo and behold, it directly connected to my name in the cipher, but then also my research location here in Missouri, and my main one, Weldon Springs, and then directly to another person who is deeply connected to the occult. And he lives in Missouri, and he lives not very far from Weldon Springs. If he's listening, there's a good chance that he is or will. He knows who I'm talking about. Thank you very much for all the info. I'll leave it at that. I'll talk about him a little more later, but we'll just keep it like as baseline as possible. So yeah, this weird name, these weird emails create this thread connected to me, connected to my research location, connected to a guy that I trust wholeheartedly about the info, directly connected to that research location. So you start to build this web of just like sheer insanity to anyone that's not of the magic mindset or into the weird stuff. And to everyone else, it looks batshit crazy. To me, it makes total sense. And to the other people that have seen it that know as well, they go, you're on the right track. So, yeah, long answer is, again, no one knew. The people that needed to know knew. There was no outside influence, to put it, for the short answer or whatever. This is like a Tumblr or a Reddit. Too long to read, skip to the bottom or whatever, sorry.
I've listened
just one of those things.
Quite a few different episodes from other podcasts about Crowley, and he was definitely trying anything and everything he could find to get what he wanted.
Yeah, I mean, he's his fame and everything, like he was kind of right place, right time. He was, like I said, he's a quack. Like he's did some really weird shit, really just odd, off the wall, like experimentation. But we find more and more that like, oh, that's what you need to do to get, these odd effects that come through. If you're hearing what sounds like a little horse running or squeaks, it's a fat cat, a skinny cat, and my two dogs deciding to, just creep in here or whatever. I'd rather have that electronic malfunction,
Really.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah,
we all have animals.
Point of esoteric stuff.
Yeah.
What's your take on the masonry in general?
I mean, man, how do I say this without blowing up my computer and getting raided by someone? It's a different avenue based off of a very important approach that's kind of been lost to time. What's really crazy that most people know to an extent, they're like, oh yeah, their hands are in deep, or their fingers are in deep, or their feelers are in deep to everything. The Masons, I mean, the Masonic rite in its own, and like the way that they conduct themselves, and like the hierarchy or the degrees that they call, like those are all things that are based off of some other like realm of occult practice or esotericism or whatever. For me, what's really cool with the Mason stuff is how it affects. I'm not so much worried or pay attention to like the political realm that stuff is. Like, yeah, there's connections. Like, I mean, Masons have been presidents. It's like skull and crossbones too. I just want to say this interview is going to implode because we're just hitting we're going to piss somebody off. I mean, yeah, it's well documented that like they have like a pretty long-standing effect on America and foreign countries and policy and government and all of that. What gets really cool for me is the conversion of Masonic beliefs in numerology and number work into things that people interact with every day, and they just don't realize it. One of them being, the highway system. Like, I don't know if you guys are aware, all the numbers of the highways, you have like 69, 74, 70, Highway 1, whatever. You can, through a very long research pattern, you can go through and find out that all of those numbers and where they're located in the United States, so north to south versus east to west, they all directly match up with important numbers specifically to the Masonic Lodge. What's even cooler is you can backtrack who built the roads to his connection to the Masonic Lodge. And then you're kind of in this whole like, holy crap, like this is way deeper than it thinks. So like, yeah, the Masons do wild stuff that like they have touched everything, but it's so ingrained into everyday life, just like with buildings and the roads and like the way everything's laid out, like people don't even realize it. Those guys, they do their thing. Like they're just another, offshoot from some core occult group that was like, I don't want to like drink blood or like sacrifice a goat. We'll change it. We'll do this, which is historically what happened.
They're like yuppies. They're yuppie occultists.
Yeah, kind of. What's really crazy though too is like, the signs and symbols and the words that are associated with Freemasonry, like if you know those and you're not a Mason, it's kind of like, this is totally just like trolling them to an extent, but like the handshakes, like if you know that secret Masonic handshake and you do it, and the person that you do it to knows that you're not a Mason, you watch their face go like, whoa, like, what are you doing? You can't do that. Like I've seen it happen in firsthand multiple times. And it's always like, I just laugh because I'm like, you're freaked out right now because you don't think the general public can figure out this information. And you're like, what are you doing? You can't do that. It's like, well, but that's just me like being kind of an asshole and being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna shake your hand. I know you're a Mason. And they're like, wait, what are you doing?
The white collar occultists.
Yeah. They do, and like the way that they approach the occult and the way that they approach like magical mindset and like experimentation or whatever you want to call it, or ritual work, like it's very geared towards like safely messing with magic. They're like, we can't do anything that's like bad because we don't want to be like abducted or like possessed or like, whatever. They're like, we'll do it to an extent, but once it gets to the weird stuff, they just bypass the weird stuff. And now they're like, oh, well, this is a safe way to do it without someone coming through or like you getting picked up in the middle of the night, like by some specter or whatever, It's funny. I like the dangerous side because it's like, yeah, say 10 Hail Marys and then hope that, a door doesn't open in front of you and there's Brule or Baphomet or whatever people want to be like afraid of, like a demon. Okay, whatever. I'm like, just come in, tell me what you need.
Goes through the gatekeeper.
Yeah.
I've been called Baphomet by a guy before.
That's perfect. I was just called Rasputin by another BFRO investigator, and I was like, I just laughed. I was like, this is like, this is crazy that you're even like putting me on that realm, But man, if it was if everything was like the Ghostbusters, and like we did have like Gozer the gatekeeper and like whatever what's the little guy's name? He's not doing movies anymore. Rick Moranis.
Yes.
What was his character?
Spaceballs 2 is coming out, I think, next year.
I know. I saw that
he's
they
going
got
to be
him
in
back.
it.
I'm really
He's
excited
going to be
about
in
it.
it. Mel Brooks
Yep.
is going to be in it too.
If
Bill
that's
Pullman's
insane.
son too.
I can't wait. That's
Yeah.
That's if I could go to Raise a Cult and he could walk in the door and ask me if I was the gatekeeper, I'd be like, "You want to hang out? Like, you
Yeah.
look disheveled right now, but like, do you need some water? Like, your collar's all messed up, your hair's you got
Yeah. Oh, I love
dog.
that scene.
Oh man, it's so good, so good. My dream is to RPG was the producer for Finding Bigfoot. He worked with Dan Aykroyd on an episode of Dan's new show recently. And I specifically said, RPG, please tell him that he's my favorite Ghostbuster. He's an idol of mine. And I hope to someday open a physical store called Raise a Cult and not get sued by him. And he was like, I'll tell him. We'll see what happens. So, that was
that's awesome.
That was a shocker. But yeah.
So do you have
That's
like
awesome.
how do you feel are the UFO phenomena do you feel it's from another planet or it's another realm, or is it a spiritual thing?
I honestly at this point I think it's all of those things. I think that I also think that they're from here. So it's 4 things in total. The spiritual aspect, I mean, if you look biblically, there's mention of, the fire, the wheel on fire in the sky. Like that's one of the things,
Right.
You look, the Vatican reportedly, from a very good source, has a whole entire section in the basement that has to do with, essentially what's considered UFOs. I think that spiritually it's a thing. I think that people can manifest that type of activity based on a few key aspects of their mindset, what they're able to believe in, and what they want to see. I think also that there's some influence from, we talk about like multiple planes or like a different universe or whatever. I think that there's some stuff that comes through as well. And then there's the sheer fact that, I mean, we manufacture UFOs to an extent. Like it's a documented thing that, the government, I hate saying that because it's like, I wish there was some other way like that to sound less dorky or less conspiracy.
Right.
I think
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
It's like you're like, oh man, the government, and you just sound like some quack conspiracy theorist.
Well,
I wake up and feel that way every day.
Most of the conspiracy theories have been shown to be true. So, who's really the weird ones?
Right. Yeah. No, I think, I mean, I truly believe that also through some very, very sound sources that we have manufactured some stuff that looks really, really close. For me, the big one that was man-made was like the Aurora. Like in the early 90s, like mid-90s, you kept hearing about this plane called the Aurora, black triangle shape that was super, super sonic. There's blueprints for it. People have claimed to see it. People have claimed to hear it. And it's oddly never been proven to be real or unreal, So it's like, yeah, we've made some. I think that people hate this opinion, and I just look at it as reality. But the Germans did a really good job at figuring out how stuff worked, and you can trace that whole kooky thread into NASA or whatever. Like, it's just reality. So, like, unfortunately,
we already went down that rabbit hole in one of our episodes.
Yeah, like,
thank you, Paperclip.
Yeah, right. I mean, the Germans knew what was going on with the occult. Mr. Heinrich Himmler knew exactly what he was doing. He did a lot of research, and he was really good at convincing Schittler to do weird things, So looking at that, I mean, that's the 40s, like,
yeah.
And what's crazy too is if you look at, and this is a whole nother topic. What's crazy too is when you look at, hold on one second. I'm gonna take
no worries.
Stop squeaking the hamburger. Come on. It's just a cat. Okay, yeah, sorry. So
no worries.
So yeah, like you look at like American rocketry and space travel and that whole like how we beat the Germans in the war with planes that could take off in a short way. If you look at the guy that made that possible versus the Germans, what is kind of not really talked about, they were both doing these same occult rituals to an extent, just in two separate locations, you know. And like I said, that's a whole nother thread because it directly connects back to my current research area in a really weird way. So, you know, we can get into that if you want. If not, we can save it for another time. But it's one of those things where your brain goes, you hear it laid out and you're like, that's really odd. It probably shouldn't be that connected, but it is. So yeah, I think it's all four of those.
I have a question on that actually.
Yeah.
So when I think of that stuff, I'm thinking about the bell thing, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah, right.
What powered that, right? Is the stuff you do related to the stuff that powered the bell?
There's aspects that overlap. It's not the same trajectory though. My goal is not so much to manufacture that type of tech. It's more to make contact with that, whatever entity is making that type of tech, or making it possible to have those ideas come in. So in an odd way, yes, it's the same, but it's drastically different because I'm not trying to communicate with the same things that those guys, that the plans for the bell and where that stuff came from. Like, yeah, it's connected to an extent, but I'm not out here, you know, goose stepping in the woods or whatever. Like, I'm going.
I wasn't suggesting that by any means.
You know, yeah, no. I mean, it's like I could go out and sit in the woods and do something and maybe have contact with that same group, and they'd be like, we already gave these plans to people before and they messed it up, so you're in. And I'm like, no, like I'll bypass you guys and go over here. So it's what the thing that's crazy, and this is another one of those long answers, is people don't realize is all those things are connected in a way, and it's where you choose to interact is what you get back. So like, I don't interact with those guys because I know that they're insane and they caused like a horrible time period for so many people and like essentially annihilated like an entire race of humans, you know, or tried to at least. So yes and no. It's like I see those guys in my mind's eye and I go, bye. I'm going to go over here because these guys have better plans, you know, with less destruction of the world or whatever. But it is all connected. The occult is vast, but it's also very narrow at the same time. Like you see, and the only reason it's vast is because there are so many offshoots of things that like showed up. It's just a weird realm to research in. You do get sucked into some weird stuff every once in a while.
There's definitely so when it comes to the occult, it's you hear about the people that were trying to use it in such a sinister way that you kind of lose being able to track how it affects other things and how it's been integrated into other things.
Yeah, it's very easy to get sucked into the wrong stuff. And a lot of that has to do with like just being naive or not paying attention to what you're doing. Like one thing that people don't realize is like if you start like dabbling in that stuff, like if you say the word, one single word wrong, it can totally make like the whole entire thing not what it was intended to be. It's wild. Like, you have these branches where it's like almost somebody was on a path, and then they said something wrong and it took them off this way, and it totally affected their whole entire life. So it's just weird. It's like there's adverse like cause and effect that inexperienced people don't understand, Yeah. And that's why it's so important to open a book and read, and don't read Facebook spells from your local Wiccan or whatever, or Tumblr or Reddit, and be like, I want to make $1 million. How do I do cult magic to make $1 million? Because you could say, I want $1,000, and then what you don't realize is you're getting $1,000 in Monopoly money because somebody thought it was funny. Like, you have to be very, very, very specific, or you're like, I want my right hand or my left hand to be 10 times bigger than my right hand. But what you're missing is you're not like telling which hand needs to shrink or grow. You're just saying something and it's wrong. And it's like, oh God,
I was having a discussion.
It's kind of funny to see the mishaps, but
I was having a discussion with a customer of mine last night. It was like 11:30 at night. I don't know why we were texting each other, but he described like the dark side, if you want to put it that way. He said they're lawyers. They've had centuries to study the law. They just need to find a way to manipulate it to get you to agree to it. He goes, but at the end of the day, they're nothing but lawyers.
That's a pretty good way to look at it. That's really smart, because it's not wrong. It's true. I mean, it's like there was a path, like you could go one way or the other, and some people just go the wrong way. And the bad part is they don't even realize it,
Yeah.
But that comes down to like not paying attention and not researching enough, People think it's funny. Like, I tell people, like, or I'll talk to people about this stuff, and they think I'm literally like walking around in the woods in a black robe with horns and like have a pentagram fire and all this shit. And I'm like, you don't get it. Like, that's not what it is at all. It's like more about like the power within, like how you can use your energy or whatever to communicate with other stuff or other entities or other planes, and you do what you will with that information. And usually, you try to be thorough about it. They're like, you're a devil worshiper. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, that's not what it is at all. They're like they hear a cult or magic and they're like, oh my God, 10 Hail Marys for you. Like,
it's how it's portrayed in mainstream modern media, movies. If there's anything occult in the movies, it always is, they're using it to summon a demon. But I mean, there's a lot of things that if you take things at face value from just what you see in the media, you're not going to get the full picture.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. It just, and that, I mean, the thing is too, some people just aren't meant to know. Like, it's almost like they're blinded by something on purpose, because I hate to say it, but some people are just too stupid to understand what's actually going on. And so they're kind of like lumped into this realm of like degen morons that's like, that's bad. And it's like, well, you're in that camp now. Like, it is what it is. Like, sorry. Like the guy that called me Rasputin, brilliant guy. I like him a lot, but he's probably like, that boy's on his way to hell. And I'm like, just because I said the word occult and magic, you're like Rasputin. Like, come on, guys. Like, don't do me like that. Like, I'm out here trying to do research from a different realm or like a different avenue to see what happens. And, it's kind of funny. What's really funny is when I talk to people about the Bigfoot and UFO stuff potentially being from the same area or the same whatever, the guys that are like hardcore flesh and blood, and I'm like, okay, they're like, there's no way that they're connected. And I'm like, okay, what about portals? Like, people have said that they've seen Bigfoot come out of portals, and they're like, well, yeah. And I'm like, okay, that's supernatural. I'm like, that's not flesh and blood. And they're like, well, yeah, that's true. And I'm like, okay, what about orbs? Like the connection between people seeing Bigfoot and then seeing orbs at the same time. And they're like, well, I mean, there's this term called the woo, right? The woo is like this huge thing in Bigfoot. It's like, oh man, I don't believe in the woo. I believe in flesh and blood. But then they'll tell you that they had mind speak, or they saw a portal open up and a Bigfoot walked out of it, but he was flesh and blood. And it's like, dude, like you can't tell me that you're flesh and blood, but then you tell me that you saw, you know.
It's funny that
like
you brought up
start breaking it down for him.
It's funny that you brought up the woo, because that was
Go
going to
ahead,
be one of our talking points, was the woo. Because we did we did 3 episodes. We called it Supernatural Bigfoot, the trilogy, and we did Mind Speak, Infrasound, and then what was the third? I labeled the third one, so I don't remember what it was about.
Yeah,
I forgot what it was too.
Okay, so we'll look at this from like a biological standpoint, or like a physical effect from a flesh and blood entity that causes infrasound, right? Tigers. Like, yeah, that's a flesh and blood thing. Like tigers can put out this basically this wave of sound or energy, depending on how you look at it, and they're able to shock and awe like their prey, right? So we see that pretty regularly. I mean, you look at telepathy as well, mind speak. Like, I don't know how many people are twins out there in the world, but I know a couple twins, and for some weird reason, there seems to be some psychic connectivity between those two, and they know exactly what the other one's doing. They know exactly what the other one's thinking. They know exactly what the other one's going to say. So it's like these are physical attributes that are real within our material world. So it's not really like that's woo for Bigfoot. And people, when you tell people that, like, I'm like, hey, look, like tigers have infrasound. That is not a woo thing. That is a physical thing that happens, and it's measured and documented.
Right.
You know, and then I'm like, twins have telepathy. People can remote view. People can, through training, you know, they can connect to you in a weird way. Like, those are not woo things. Those are things that are reality. And it's just looked at as woo because it's skepticism, because people don't know. They can't prove that it's real or not. So they go, well, that's woo. The real woo in the Bigfoot realm is when you start having stuff like gaps of time where someone loses a tool, or someone loses a flashlight, or someone drops their phone or their knife. And then a year later, in a totally different location, they know where they're at, and that thing shows up in that physical space, often when people are sitting down on a break, hiking, or out looking for Bigfoot. So now you're talking about a couple things: time dilation, the ability to move physical objects across long distances without really any force that's able to block that. Like, there's a famous story about a guy who was in one location and he dropped his knife, and he was at a totally different location a couple months later or something, and he's sitting down on a log next to his buddy. They're out looking for Bigfoot, and he looks down between his legs as he's about to get up, and that shows up, and it's right on the ground in front of him. And it's like, okay, like this is where it gets really, that's, to me, that's the woo. That's supernatural.
Yeah.
Like you start seeing things where like stuff will disappear from a camp, and then it shows up at the top of a mountain in a totally different location, or people being affected by like something in the woods that is not their voice coming in. So you're talking kind of about mind speak here, but it's telling them in a different location, don't go that way, or turn around now, or something weird like that. Or people on expeditions. I've had this personally happen to me, where And I'll just use my experience. I was climbing up into my tent. I had been up all night. I was dead tired. I'm in Fouke, Arkansas. So the Legend of Boggy Creek, like, you know, big, huge, crazy area on some property that was really gnarly. We had all kinds of crazy crap happen. I'm getting into my tent and something comes in and goes, go to the clear cut. And I'm like, that's not psycho me talking to myself in my brain. It's like noon, and I was overly compelled to climb down from my rooftop tent, take my shoes off, walk through the field to get to this clear cut, and walk into this clear cut. And lo and behold, I find this trail that leads to a tree structure, a horse pelvis on the ground, and a really weird tree that was only growing branches on one side. And then across the other way was a trail that led into the camp up to a fence where we found like 10-inch hair with no medulla in 3 separate locations from 3 separate target species, that it's now being verified like through a couple scientists, you know? So this is one of those things. It's like this telekinetic voice came in and said, go there. Or you hear it like, don't go that way. I mean, it's just, there's all these weird instances of that stuff happening. And then also too, like materialization and dematerialization of physical entities in front of you that are shaped and sound and smell and look like Bigfoot. We hear this all the time. That's one of those things that's like, okay, that's like real woo. Like that's not, you know, some physical thing that can happen. And then too, like the whole gifting thing too, like gifting across the country is now becoming a pretty relevant thing, which is weird. Like you're in one location and you leave them something and you go to another location and they bring it back to you. It's not the same as like losing something and it being returned. It's more of like this was a gift to you. Now I'm bringing you a gift back. Or we have a guy who's on expeditions all the time. He gifts them things. He drives 40 minutes away from his house and he's gifted something at his house, which is not a huge distance, but that's kind of hard to explain. Like even if they're physically running, you know, and what's crazy is it's happening from he's gifting the time that he's out here and then he's leaving, and that return gift is at his house before he's even there. And it's like, okay, like there's a time dilation and there's like some way to transport these things in and out without us really being able to measure it at all, you know. This thing is a cool little device that I built that picks up infrasound. I can stand in a field, it's directional, I can point this thing and it tells me when that frequency, what we consider that frequency when it's starting to come towards us. What's cool too is this now allows me to walk towards that target subject and pick it up until it decides that it doesn't want me to pick it up anymore. And this is one of many, many crazy things that have been built because some aliens told me build this, you know.
I'm drawing a blank on it. I had heard this was on another podcast. I'm drawing a blank on the guy's name, but he was given all this information from what he said was Osiris, which was the god of farming and fertility and all that.
Yeah.
He was giving him all this information, and he was like, but it was very quid pro quo. Like either you do these things or I'm going to stop giving you this information. I'm not saying that's what's happening,
which is common.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's what's happening to you, but do you feel like you say it's coming from somewhere else? Is it like you want the information and it feels like they feel you're worthy to have the information?
To an extent, yeah. I think part of it initially was me doing a bunch of work wrong, and they were like, do this. Like, you're messing this one thing up. Pay attention. Like, do this. So you know, I don't want to say it's guidance, but it's more like somebody's throwing me a bone because they want me to figure out how I approach everything as this is a problem. This is what I need to fix this problem, or this is what I need to do to understand that problem. And I definitely feel like there's some otherworldly, whether it's, you know, God or whatever, or aliens, or you know, who else, Crowley's coming through and being like, oh, there you go, because you said whack. I mean, and I feel like, honestly, there's a couple times where I've had stuff happen and I'm like, I said this 2 days ago, and he heard that, now he's pissed, and he like put up a barricade for me. So to an extent, yeah, it's like guidance. It's like you're worthy of knowing the steps that are needed to get to here. But what's interesting is they're never complete. So it takes more focus, it takes more time, it takes more thought into finding what's considered a final key or a final piece to that puzzle. But when that final piece to that puzzle shows up, then it opens another thread that you have to follow. So it's like this never ending, like, it's like the world's most annoying game. Like, Monopoly is mad long. No one likes to play Monopoly. This is like Monopoly times 200,000, and I don't own any property. Like, I don't get a car. I just get like these weird things that come through, and I'm like, all right, well, you know, thanks, Monopoly man. Like, I figured it out. Like this device right here, I was using the wrong antennas for months, and then I woke up one day, I had a dream, and I was like, aircraft antennas, and it changed everything. And I knew immediately, because when I took it out, I was like, this thing is working way better than it needs to. You know, I mean, they can't see me. People can't see me on the little screen here, but this is measuring all electronic anomalies around me currently. It may not look like a lot, but when you start going through all the presets and you start seeing pulses that should not be there from radio frequencies that we don't physically have or can measure on Earth, it starts to get really weird. When that infrasound thing comes through and this thing's spiking and I'm pointing the antennas at it and I'm going, go that way. And then we start having anomalous activity in that direction as we're walking that way. It gets really, really, really hard to explain, you know. And this, like I said, this is just one of the things. So I sent you guys a photo of a black box on a tripod with a bunch of antennas, right? So that's a camera unit that I built. Yeah. So, and it was an attempt to solve the issue of us thinking that Bigfoot or Sasquatch can see IR illumination. So they famously avoid trail cams, right? So that was the most recent attempt to get rid of that, but still be able to take photos and document for long periods of time. So like I said, I approach everything as a problem and say, okay, how do I get past this problem to get to the next level? And that was one of those things where I was really close. I thought I was going to have it. We took that device to Falk, Arkansas. It sends live feed video through mesh network back to my house in St. Louis. So I'm 8 hours away and I have to connect to all these repeaters just to get it to update to my computer at home, right? So what's really weird is that now for expeditions are always, everybody shows up Thursday, they leave Sunday, right? I show up Tuesday, I leave Monday because I need to set up so much equipment. I want to get a feel for what's going on. And then when everybody leaves, activity is always heightened, right? So I took that camera to Falk, Arkansas. I set it up 12 feet on a telephone pole. It's hardwired. It runs off solar with batteries that can run for 6 months. It updates directly to my computer at home, but it also stores data. If the connection from home dies, it will store locally on SD cards, right? So I can pull and plug them in and watch the stuff. So what's really frustrating is the entire time I was out there, that camera functions from dawn to dusk which is, I don't need that footage. I need dusk to dawn, right? So I'm getting all these photos, all this video in the daytime. And I'm like, cool, yeah, it's working. Like I'm able to see on my phone, like what's being updated as well. When dark hits, that camera is still firing. So it's taking photos, and there's 3 lenses, and those 3 lenses are 3 separate different cameras and 3 separate different sensors. None of them are picking up anything that it needed to pick up all night long. So from the time that it gets dark to first light, in every other location that that camera's been out, it's caught photos every single night, all night long. I take it to this point, I put it up, and something is physically blocking the mechanism from working. It's like I got the key in a dream, put everything together, took it out and tested it in theory, worked totally great near St. Louis. Take it to another location, whatever is out there is like, no, we're not playing around. You're not going to get the photos, but it's still going to show that you're taking photos all night long, so you're not alarmed. So I'm sitting in my truck camper looking at my phone going, cool, it's like perfect, it's working, like I'm gonna get a ton of photos all night long. I didn't know until I got home that none of the photos were, it was just black, every single fire. And there's thousands of photos over that time. So it's like, what's doing that? Like, you know, it's like divine intervention giving you the key, and then you put it out there and going, no.
I mean, maybe you're just
like, yeah,
ready to see what was there.
Probably. It's frustrating because we see stuff like this all the time. Like, and it's not just the Bigfoot realm, it's in the UFO realm too. Like I physically, I can send it to you guys. I have about a 30-second clip of 2 UFOs interacting in daytime from a camera that I had to update. It was originally 1 lens, and it's on PTZ, so 359 degrees by 180, right? And this camera connects to these systems that are non-linear radar, and they're all over the country. They're accessible to anybody, right? So through some work, I connected my camera to this non-linear radar, and when something flies in at a weird, path, it fires the camera, and the camera goes to the location of the last point where it was seen, which is almost instantaneous because it's linked through satellite, right? So this camera films one UFO in daytime. It's a white little dot, and it's in a blue sky, and it's hard to see, but you can see it once you're locked on it. So what happens is this camera's focusing on this one. So this is the original one. This other one comes in from the bottom and goes this way. Well, this one starts to move in, and then the bottom one comes back, and they kind of interact for a minute, and then they split, and the camera stops filming both of them because it's trying to pick a target to link up to. So that was one of those things. It's like, I solved the problem. I figured out how to film these things in the day, but now I have to have 2 cameras, because if there's 2 of them interacting, I can't film both of them. So I had to put another camera connected to those nodes that also does the same thing. So it's like this never-ending thing. Like, I'm screwed if 5 UFOs interact with each other in a day because I only got 2 cameras. And those systems are not cheap. I mean, I'm building all this stuff in my house, and like, just the programming and all that crap alone, like it's now I understand why the government has so much secret money and black like doors and like these agencies that are cajillionaires and whatever. But I'm like some mild nerd in an apartment in St. Louis that's going, "Dear aliens, tell me what to do." And then like, I'm like bypassing NASA and all this crap, which is kind of funny, but so yeah, another long roundabout thing. I'll send you guys that video. It's like I said, it's like, I think the total cut down was 30 minutes or 30 seconds, but I was laying on my couch, and this camera connects to my phone too. So I'm watching this, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like, I just filmed like 2 UFOs hanging out with each other, like right over my research location. And I'm like, hey, look at this video. And people are like, what am I looking at? And I'm like, those are 2 UFOs. And they're like, I don't believe in UFOs. And I'm like, show me some planes or helicopters or drones that fly this way. Right. And they're like, okay, I can't, So yeah, Yeah.
So you sent some images to John earlier. There's one that appears to be a print. What is that?
Which one is it? Hold on. I'm going to try to pull these up in real time.
It appears smaller than what I would consider to be a Bigfoot print.
Let me see here real quick. Let me go. Can you give me the description of which one it is?
I have them all
Sorry.
pulled up and I can screen share. Was
okay,
it,
yeah, do that.
What, was it the one with the tape measure? The shoe?
Yeah,
I believe it was a tape measure.
Let me see. How do I get to the screen share here? Okay, yeah. So that's not that small. That's actually a 19-inch track. This was in.
Oh no, that's not the one.
Not the one. Okay, yeah.
No, it must have been the one with the water bottle.
Is it a red? Is it a red water bottle, or is the liquid red?
Yeah.
Or do you have? Can you share that one? That one. Okay, yeah. So this is in Falk. Yeah, this one.
No, there is. It looked like it was in like a gravelly dirt. We only got a chance to look at them screen shared right before you came here. It looked like gravelly dirt with like rocks inside the dirt, and it appeared to be much smaller than what I would consider to be a Bigfoot print. That's why I asked. Wow, he sent you a lot of Bigfoot track photos.
Yeah, I tried to send 10, and these are. Can you share them all at the same time? It's probably It's probably.
I can only share one screen at a time. So.
Okay. So, yeah, if you find that one, let me know. I'll try to pull them up here too. You can't see it, but I've got like computer, phone, iPad back here. Like, it's all like just overkill, like trying to figure out everything that I could in case something came up where I was like, I need to show them this,
See, Evan, people have more than one phone.
Say that again.
Do you guys cast stuff much anymore, or is it more pictures?
No, I mean we cast every chance we get. The problem with casting though is they don't always show up as well as they need to. So like you get one or two that's like really, really good, and then you are kind of like screwed because the substrate's too crappy, or it's sand, or the print doesn't, or the cast doesn't sit as good as it needs to. Like there's a bunch of variables, and it also depends too on whoever's making the cast. Like if you mix that stuff wrong, you're like screwed, because you're like, okay, you did the mixture wrong. But we do this is crazy. So side note here, I'm trying to pull up these photos on a separate phone, and they will not, I can't pull them up at all. It's like blocking me from, there you go, electronic interference of weirdness. Who knows?
The three pictures that I just showed were the only 3 footprints.
Okay, the red, if it's the red one, that's in Falk, Arkansas, and that was a juvenile. This one that's on my screen right now with the Birkenstock next to it, we also think that was a juvenile. What people don't realize is that a lot of time when we're on these expeditions, if there's close stuff that shows up as far as evidence, we think more than probably 50% of the time it's juveniles coming in. We have a theory that the adults, so like mom and dad or dad and uncle, come in at nighttime, because juveniles, like, yeah, they can see at night, but they're not always as quiet as they need to be. In the daytime, people are louder. So like there's people walking around, there's people getting in and out of their tents a ton, slamming their doors, walking through the field. So we find these prints that are smaller than what you would normally think. And it's because we think that it's because juveniles are coming in as close as they can get without tipping us off. And they're leaving close tracks in whatever, the larger tracks though are always, considerable size difference, and they're probably the adults. But like I said, the adults come in at night because they can be quieter and they're more used to like potentially interacting with humans. And when I say interacting, I mean coming in to mess with you in camp, or like, like sneaking into camp to like steal food, or like see why this person's snoring in a weird way. I have them come up. I sit at about 8 foot in my tent, in my pop-up camper on top of my truck, which is a terrible height to sleep at if you're on an expedition, because if Bigfoot used that opposable thumb and they unzip that thing, they're looking straight at me sleeping. But there's people, like there's a guy named Richard who's a long time, experiencer, and they mess with his car all the time. He stopped sleeping in a tent because he was having them constantly affect him while he was sleeping. And in Oklahoma earlier this summer, I heard one slap the side of his car at like 3:45 in the morning, just to freak him out. And he jumped up out of the truck, like he was in a Ford Bronco. He jumped up out of the Bronco like he was had just seen a ghost like right in front of him. He was pretty shook. But in the grass, there's larger parts that are pushed down compared to, some of these photos. And it also too depends on rain and substrate. Like it's really hard to take a print in grass because it's not usually a deep indentation. Sometimes in mud, if the mud's too wet, it affects the print or the casting to the point where it's unusable and it starts to break apart. So,
I know as juveniles, Evan and I tried to join BFRO.
Yeah.
Oh God,
we were shot down.
Yeah. So the way
right
that
away.
Works, it's kind of cool. You have to show up on an expedition as a civilian, and then an official investigator has to basically vouch for you. I lucked out because I tricked Marianne into, thinking I was just some normal dude. And then we had all this weird stuff start happening. And she's like, he's a killer researcher. He's really good in the field. I spend a lot of time in the woods. I was a technical footwear designer. So I spent like 280 days in the wilderness testing gear, basically. So when I say I'm boots on the ground, this is, a little bit of arrogance coming through, but I'm out more than most people are that are like full-time real deal investigators. And I'm like, I don't trust what you're saying, because what I'm seeing is not the same. And I'm physically out here running around. So, so you basically have to have someone vouch for you to get in. And then when you get in, everything changes because you start seeing the mythical BFRO flats, which are all the reports from all over the world that don't get released to the public. And there's a lot. There's a lot. People would be pretty shocked if they knew the actual numbers that were coming into almost every state. It was mind blowing to me. There's two things I do. I wake up every day, and two of the first things I look at are the MUFON reports, and then all the new reports that have come into the BFRO flats. And then my brain goes, what's this problem I need to figure out how to solve or attempt to solve today?
So could you tell me in general, just give me a ballpark, what we got in Michigan so far this year for Bigfoot?
I can actually, let me try to look it up real quick. I might get blocked, but I'll try real quick. Hold on. Give me a second.
See, we're real big Bigfoot guys. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
yeah,
that's what started all of this for us. And Kyle is the resident skeptic. So I got a question for him actually, to get him. He needs to experience something, right?
Yeah, I really do. I really want one. I have to.
I'll tell you this. If you guys, I'll give you the rundown. I'll give you the keys here to what you need to do. If you really want to see or have an experience, okay, so you guys have 227 current reports that are listed on the BFRO website. And it's all listed by county, and it's basically it shows you which county has the most reports, right? So the easiest way, and without divulging trade secrets or getting in trouble by the organization, I'll tell you that that 227 or whatever I said is minuscule compared to what's actually been reported, which is stressful when you think about it, because you're like, there's potentially like 500,000 reports out here that have never been released. And you got to think of it this way too. I know in Indiana, there's probably 12 people that would openly talk about a Bigfoot sighting because they don't want to be the crazy guy that lives in town that's been drinking too much moonshine or Mountain Dew. Jim Bob Stevens over there said he saw dang Sasquatch. Don't trust him no more. He's been working on my tractor. Like, that's a reality. Like, there's a lot of people that won't report this stuff because they don't want to seem like a quack, in quotations. If you really want to have an experience, the best thing to do is to look. There's two things. There's the Bigfoot Mapping Project and the BFRO website. The BFRO website is all the BFRO stuff. Bigfoot Mapping Project pulls from a couple separate sources and then compiles all that info. There's three things you need to look for. And these are trade secrets. I tell you what, we're going to get the powers that be are going to chop this right now. They're going to be like, no more info. So you need cover, water, and food. So, not so much lakes. We see it a lot in some lakes, mainly like creeks, rivers, or streams. A river is better because it's almost guaranteed that that's like the highway, right? Cover wise, you don't need a ton of forested area. This last expedition that we were on, where I had a Class A, was 7 miles from a town, like a heavily populated town, and the area that it was in is 80 acres, and I would guess that only 40 acres, not even that, maybe 35% of that is tree cover, or like forest or woods. And then deer. If there's deer out there, if people are shooting the shit out of deer, go there. There's Bigfoot there. But the best thing to do, without going really crazy, is my thing is this. Go to the woods in the evening, walk in on a trail. Before you hit that trail, say, hey, look, guys, it's me. I want to come in here and, talk to Bigfoot or experience Bigfoot. We just want to hang out in your woods. We don't mean you any harm. Tell them if you have a firearm on you, which some people say don't take a gun. I mean, if you want to die in the woods because a cougar or a bobcat comes out and is like your easy lunch and you're not running from me, I'd rather potentially, harm a big kitty versus not taking a gun with me. There are times where I don't take guns, but that's for different reasons. Go in, tell them what you have on you. Tell them, we have an audio recorder, we have a camera, we have a cell phone with us, and stay away from white light when you get to the location where you predetermine that you're going to sit. So go to the woods. Those three things: deer, cover, and a highway, water. Tell them you're there. Tell them what you're doing. and just sit and wait. There are a couple things that some people say help. For whatever reason, people keep telling me that they like classic rock, which is super weird. Like, I heard that the first time and I was like, this is nuts. Like, this is total bullshit. Like, there's Bigfoot's not out here listening to, like, you know, if you're from Indiana and you know what Q95 is, like, you know what classic rock is. Right. Go out there and don't play Queen. They don't want to hear that. Play, like, I don't know, like Led Zeppelin or Pink Floyd, like something that's really weird, you know.
It's very common for me to play Freebird.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, just blast Freebird over and over and over again.
Anytime someone mentions Canada, I play Freebird.
There you go. That works. Yeah. You know, I'm not saying the music thing works, but I've heard some pretty compelling stories and seen some evidence of it working. Usually too, it's good to light a fire, but the big thing is let them know that you're there and then just hang out. Don't chase them if they come in. Don't be overly, you want to be respectful of like their area and their habitat and their family. You got to think it's like, if Bigfoot wants to come see you guys at your house, he's going to knock on the door and be like, hey, I'm Carl. I'm really tall. I smell terrible. But I want to hang out with you guys and just see what you're doing. You know, we're the same thing as Carl the Bigfoot. Like, go in, tell him what you're doing, hang out, sit in the woods, light a fire if you can. If not, just have a light on and just kind of hang out. And this is what you need to listen for. There's two really telltale signs that something's in the area. Listen for the lack of bug chatter. So if you start hearing the bugs being quiet, you know it's a pretty good thing. If you're in an area that's kind of swampy, listen for frogs. If the frogs cut off as well, there's something there. And then you want to listen for the other thing. The big one for me is you want to listen for movement that sounds unordinary. So not like deer, not like, you're almost listening for the quietest thing that's moving around out there. After you get those two, it's a pretty good indicator that you're in a spot. And you may walk in and it may not happen that night. That's the other thing, is like, there's people that go in and they have experiences immediately. There's people that go for 10 years and they never have anything happen. To me, it really just depends on what you're putting out there to these guys, being like, hey, like, I'm respectful. I don't want to mess with you or your family. When you start hearing the no bug chatter, the no frog chatter, and the weird movement, start listening for things like knocks. You'll hear the whack, or weird whistles. That's the other thing. I was in Shawnee National Forest last night. We kept getting, you're probably not going to come through on microphone, but there were two things that were just whistling one right after another. I get the in my location a lot. Actually, for 3 hours one night, I stood in the same spot doing some other stuff. And from this spot behind me, I was getting whistled at nonstop for 3 hours. I went back the next day and found telltale sign of everything that was going on. So start listening for the whistles, start listening for owls that sound weird. Like you'll hear the barred owl or like a hoot owl, and then it sounds off. Or listen for coyote howls, and listen for that one that drops low, like, or trails off and doesn't sound right. Those are the pretty good indicators. The thing that people do that I wish they didn't do it is don't do calls. Don't do the wood knock thing. You have no clue what that form of communication is between Bigfoot and Bigfoot. If you're just some dingbat human that's coming in and you got a Louisville slugger and you're whacking the crap out of a tree, 3 knocks to them could be like I'm here to fight you, let's wrestle. And then you're in trouble, But the biggest, yeah. I mean, people go out and they blast these like Bigfoot calls. Someone goes on YouTube and they type in Bigfoot call recording, and then they save it on their phone and they go out in the woods and they're playing this thing through a loudspeaker, or like the Aztec death whistle is like the other thing. These are all just stupid things that you should not do. There you go, right there. So you play this Bigfoot call, right? And what you don't know is that Bigfoot call is another Bigfoot in its home habitat that's telling its neighbor to, screw off, and I'm going to steal your girlfriend, and I'm going to eat that deer that you have hanging up in the tree. Like, don't do that stuff. Just go and sit and hang out. And one of the things too is you can be kind of loud. People are like, you need to be quiet. You need to sit there. You only need to be quiet when you start hearing stuff coming in. The other thing too, that's a good thing is sit in a triangle, because then you can see, 360 without any issues. And if you do have something that starts moving in, don't turn a white light on, because they're gone. As soon as they see white, they're like out of there. So if you have a red light and you start seeing like eye shine or something, like, who knows, you might get, you might be able to go turn around slow, don't point and look, and then you're shining the red light and you get that glimmer eye shine. The other thing too is don't point at what's there. The minute you point at them, they know you're looking at them, and they just sit down. We see it all the time on thermal. Like you get one and it's close and you start pointing at it, and the first thing that's going to happen is it's going to sit down as low as possible, and usually they're going to spider crawl or crawl off or crouch really low and walk away. That's like the best case scenario. If you want to get real crazy, take a woman with you. Like, I don't know if you guys are married or whatever, convince one of your wives that you'll, give her a dozen roses and take her out and buy her a necklace, a diamond necklace, if she goes in the woods and hangs out with you guys, so you can have Bigfoot interactions. For whatever reason, they're like hyper attracted to females and children, not in a creepy way, more of like, I mean, I think of it from like the standpoint of a mammal. Like if your wife is a big furry Bigfoot and you see a non-furry small foot that's much hotter than your wife, you're probably going to go, honey, take care of the kids. I got to go mess with these humans because they're out here. And then you call your buddy, your Bigfoot buddy, and you say, hey, there's one of those hairless hot things out in the woods. Like, they're going to be like, what are you guys doing? But it's weird. Like, for whatever reason, like, you'll put 3 women out in a field on an expedition, and it's like almost like odd how much interaction you get. So that's Levi's, guide to interacting with Bigfoot. For me, it's going to a spot, sit down, see what's going on, and then from there I start messing with, tech or whatever. But that's a little later on. If you really, really want to have something happen, the 3 of you need to come to an expedition in September in Southern Illinois, where I just was, and experience it that way. I can't tell people enough, if you want to have a potential Class A, or at the very least a Class B, go on a BFRO expedition. They're listed on the website by state. If there's not one in your state, it's usually in an area. I'm going to toot Marianne Zibble's horn here, but this woman knows where these things are in an uncanny way. I have no clue how she does. I swear she like puts the God helmet on at home and is like, Bigfoot, tell me where to go. And we tell her where, and we show up, and we know for a fact that no one knows the location, and we're not being hoaxed because we're doing our due diligence to make sure. And sure enough, these things are showing up pretty, I mean, to the point where sometimes it's scary, like 5 feet away, coughing at you like a giant human, and you're like, there's no one there, that's the best way. Like
you mentioned the cough, and I've had that before, where I'm out in my hunting blind.
Oh, cool.
And I can hear a cough, and I'm like, no one. And where I used to hunt was off a seasonal road, so during hunting season, no one was out there, and it was like I could hear a cough, and I've heard deer cough, but it was much more vocal than it was louder than that. And so I kind of like, I got out of my blind and I was looking around to see if there was someone else there, and there was nothing. There was no movement after that. And then it was like maybe a mile down that trail is where I had my whoop at me. And so it's
so wherever that is, go there.
Okay.
That sounds, I mean, that is pointed, like that's the evidence you need right there. So when you heard this cough, was it like, it sounds like a human, but it's deeper, correct?
Yeah. And it was like just one,
okay.
And then it kind of moved and did it again, moved, did it again.
Yeah.
At that point, I was getting out of my blind to like, wave down whoever was walking through. But there was nothing there.
What time was this?
This had to have been like right when I got out there. So it was like, in the winter. So probably about 4:30, 5 o'clock. Because it was kind of right before dusk.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that it's we had a dog bark in Fouke, Arkansas. We had a dog bark, and 2 seconds after we heard this dog bark, we heard like real deep, and it was, I'm not kidding, it was like 5 feet away from Marianne and I, and we were both like, okay, that's weird. If you're hearing that type of stuff, it's a good indicator. And then a whoop as well. Like the whoop they're different dependent on region. Like Southern Illinois, where I just was yesterday, they do this woohoo, which I've never heard anywhere else. And I heard like 10 recordings from the Squatchers, these Jim and Joe, these guys that are local to that area. Really killer evidence, like evidence so good that I would physically fist fight people if they were like, that's a hoax. Because it's I've seen it firsthand, and I'm like, you cannot fake this, like these photos and audio. So if you're hearing the whoop and you're hearing the cough, like that's a pretty good thing.
Like
I mean, there's all kinds of
times it felt like they were right on top of me when it happened, and the whoop was more of a woo, and it felt like everything inside of me hit my toes, and I looked at my friend that I was with, and I was like, the truck's that way, we gotta go. Like
yeah. So that's one of those things, like the whoop you described, like there's potential that's regional communication only. It's not a thing that you're hearing, like all over the place. And that just proves the fact too, is like, if you take that whoop and you recorded it and you played it somewhere else, that somewhere else Bigfoot is going to be like, what is this guy doing? I don't know what that is, but wherever that is, go there and just hang out. And, like I said, just tell them like, hey, what's up? Like, I'm going to come hang out with you guys. Like we
dropped a pinpoint on it.
Oh man. Yeah.
On GPS. So
yeah.
John also got a nice big trailer.
There we go.
I did.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a correlation between, like you have stories of hunters who have like negative experiences with Sasquatch, where it's almost like indirect fire with rocks being thrown or like charging? Is there a correlation between them like not announcing that they're there or almost asking for permission to come in?
So the short answer is yes. The long answer is it's twofold. If you're a predator and you're in an area that your food source is now depleted because a human came in and they shot the crap out of every deer in your area, if I was that alpha in that region or that location, I'm going to be like, get out of here. This is my deer, and you see that too in hunters losing deer that they know they've hit, and they follow the blood trail, with a UV flashlight or whatever. And then they get to the point where they're pretty certain that deer should be, and it's gone. So yeah, I think it's twofold. I think like they're trying to push them out or scare them out so they don't affect their food. But then also too, like the respect aspect to like nature as well. Like if you look at Native American cultures and the way that they hunt, like there's no excess to it. It's only what they need. Humans, I mean, we just take whatever. Like it's, if someone sees a mushroom in the woods and they're like, that's a cool mushroom, and they don't have to eat it, they just want to pick it up and they'll peel it off and like do whatever. Like you just took something else's food sort. That's like just the sheer like audacity of being a human is like, everything's mine. I don't care about anything in this ecosystem. So you see this like, and that's the other thing too, is you look at Native American culture that have relationships with these entities or these beings or these, animals or hominids or whatever you want to call them. It's always based off of like a respect for the area, a respect for what lives in the same area as them. And they approach it as like we need this food to feed our families. We're not going to take. And you hear these stories of them having like really long-term interactions or connections with Bigfoot or Sasquatch. So yeah, I mean, people definitely get spooked because Bigfoot's going, get out of here. Like, I don't want you in my area. There's an area in Oklahoma that we're going later this year. As far as I understand, only 2 white men have ever been there. One was a researcher who didn't last, I think he was there like 7 hours. And then the other was a fisherman that only made it a couple hours. And he was on a small island that when the tide for this region is out, you walk to the island. Once you're on that island and the tide comes back in, you're screwed. And he got so scared that he swam out and was like, I left all his crap. So, and this land is native land, and you have to have permission from the elders in the tribe to access. So we went.
I was going to ask if it was on a res. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all reservation, and we're hoping that we get access to it because I'm not easily spooked at this point. Even if they're aggressive, like I'm not, and I've had some pretty aggressive interactions. But when I was told that we were potentially going to have this access, I was like, that's like definitive. That's like a big, big deal because nobody else gets to go in there. And the guy that he technically owns the land through the reservation. This dude's like a Vietnam vet that's like 80 something. And he's like a complete lunatic from what I understand. Like he would not let anybody on the land up until like the last, like maybe 5 years because he knew what was out there. And he was like very protective. And there's only 5 people that go to that land currently that are a part of that, tribe, which is crazy. So, but that's one of those things. It's like, they're probably aggressive there because they don't want, something coming in and stealing all their food or whatever the case may be,
Yeah.
And I mean, there's areas too that are highly charged and they're like, get out. There's some magical connection here. We don't want you here,
Yeah, no, it's, I could see how that would definitely correlate with each other. Like, yeah. Especially like, I mean, the deer population in Michigan isn't, I mean, we don't have huge bodied deer out here. So I could see why they want to protect what's around there just so they could eat.
Yeah. I mean, I try to tell people too, like you have to look at this stuff like logically, like what makes the most sense for the area. Like if you're going to a location where a river bends off, but then it stops, it's probably not the best location. Like you have to have all the key factors in there to like, really potentially hit like a class A or a class B. But I think too, being respectful and picking the right spot and just paying attention to nature in general is very helpful. I don't walk in the woods anywhere without saying like the same thing over and over again. And then the other thing too, if you're trying to have continuous interaction, the best thing to do is go at the same time on the same day, wear the same stuff, park the same location, and walk in the same direction every time. Repetition lets them know that it's you coming in and you talking to the woods like a psychopath is, you know, then they're like, okay, this guy's here for us because he wants to experience us, you know.
Yeah, I know. Like going back to our
See, I told you, Kyle, you got to be open to it.
Yeah.
Going back to our supernatural Bigfoot episodes we did when I spoke about Mind Speak, I played the interview that Les Stroud did about how when he experienced it.
Yeah.
And it was, he was basically out there and he's like, "Hey, I want to see you guys." And then in his head he heard, "Well, we're right over here if you think you're ready for it." And he was like, "I don't think I am ready for that."
Yeah. I remember listening to that, and it kind of hit home for me, because that first expedition, like I got smoked with that infrasound, and it really freaked me out. And then I heard this other interview where this guy was like had the same kind of thing happen. Like he was like putting it out there. They responded and they told him very directly, like, when you're afraid is when we're near. And he took that as like, okay, like it's almost like they use that to like push off the ones they don't want to interact with, right? So I heard this and I heard Les Stroud's thing, and I'm like, maybe when I'm getting like absolutely like scared shitless, like I need to start looking around. And lo and behold, a couple times, it's weird stuff's happen. I start getting really, really, really nervous. And then I start looking around and I'm picking up now like, okay, this is right here. And what's crazy is I started to notice the same thing in the other realms of like anomalous activity that I pay attention to. But he's not wrong. Like, I mean, the whole thing too, maybe I'm not ready as well. It's one of those things, because it's hard to go, yeah, this stuff's not real. And then you have something happen that you cannot explain, or you see something that you cannot explain. And you're like, okay, like this is an eye opener. Like it's like the whole disclosure thing. People are always like, well, what do you think about disclosure? And I'm like, mass disclosure will never happen. The human psyche cannot handle it. Like the religious aspect of the United States and the belief in a creator does not allow for like this other realm of like interference to come through. So we're never going to, regardless what anybody says, mass disclosure is coming. It's not going to happen. You know how many people would actually absolutely like lose their minds if they knew that aliens were potentially here right now, but also able to come in and mess with people as much as they wanted? Like it just can't. My dad would freak out. He'd be like, I'm shooting the shit out of them. Not going to happen, you know? But, you know, it's that thing. It's like, maybe like Les maybe wasn't, he's right. He was probably like, oh, I don't know. Like, yeah, it'd be cool. I can't remember where that was. Was that at Todd Standing's area?
I can't remember.
I think it was.
I think it was in Canada. Yes. It's funny that you say like mass disclosure, people would lose their minds. Our last observation corner, that's pretty much all we talked about, was how the government spent what was $22 million running tests on UFOs, poltergeist activity, telekinesis at Skinwalker Ranch. And basically everything that they put out to the public was like, yeah, this stuff might be there, but we don't know why. Even though they have, you know, packets this big of all their findings.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to say this, and this maybe will help you. They know exactly what's going on. The government knows exactly what's going on at Skinwalker Ranch. They have since Robert Bigelow owned the area. You know, NIDS, NICAP, Bigelow Aerospace, all these other like weird abbreviations of anomalous, you know, like Project Blue Book, like J. Allen Hynek. The man that figured it all out on his own with all the money from the Air Force, J. Allen Hynek, he was hired to prove that it wasn't real. thousands of reports, right? It's not real. And then right at the end, before he resigns, he's like, gotcha, it is real. I'm not lying. Like, all this stuff is real. It's happening. Like, that we've known forever. And if you look historically at all these things that have been released over time, like over the decades, whatever, it's all the same. It's just regurgitated and it's reformatted for the time. And that's the most frustrating part about, like, Skinwalker Ranch is gnarly. Like, we're potentially going to buy 10 acres that are a 15-minute drive from Skinwalker Ranch because I just want to live in the Uinta Basin and stare at the ranch and be like, bring me the scariest stuff you have. Like, let's go, you know, like, they know what's going on. But the thing that's happening is, and most people don't understand this, is that phenomena is changing. As our technology changes, their technology, whoever they are, is so far ahead of ours that they're predetermining what we're going to do. So it's just another one of those things. It's like you get this thread of info, and then there's these little parts that pop off of that thread, almost like strands of like a wound rope, right? And we get these little bits of information as something predetermines or as they see fit, right? So you're getting the info that you're needing to fix the problem or solve the issue or solve the puzzle or the mystery or whatever. But then it's just another door that goes, and it's a whole nother thing. Like they, like the whole, like string theory on its own, like string theory is just absolutely mental. Like quantum physics in general are like absolutely insane, you know? So like, you don't see these like giant leaps and bounds in information on stuff like that. It's all like minuscule, right? Well, the UFO stuff, it's just the same thing over and over and over again. And it's because we've predetermined and kind of already know what's going on as a whole, and have for decades. We're just getting tiny little threads here and there that add to another giant problem that we'll never figure out. So like the whole mass disclosure thing, that's why I said, like, at the beginning of this, like, I stopped paying attention basically from the 80s on. Like once Bob Lazar kind of said his whole thing, I was like, okay, like this is just, it's just annoying at this point. Like he's the last guy, whether you love him or hate him or whatever, he's the last guy that really had like UFO research in like a frenzy. The Lou Elizondos, like all these new things, like they're not doing anything different. Like literally like the 90s hit and it's like, here's the playbook, copy it in 10 years and then copy it in 20 years, but say this, you know, it's just one of those weird things. If you really want to know and you really want to figure out disclosure and what's going on, just start at 1938 and go from 1938 to the 90s and pay attention, and you'll be infinitely smarter than everybody that talks about UFOs in this day and age. Smarter than all these guys that are making crap loads of money on TV if you just pay attention to the right stuff. And you talk to the really old weird guys that are like, draw a circle in the air and then spin around 3 times and throw sawdust over your head and then swallow a handful of charcoal. And when you start puking and you see the flying saucer, you know you're in the right spot. Like it's one of those things. It's like, how crazy do you want to get in the woods to figure out what's going on, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Skinwalker's cool, but they've known for a long time what's going on out there. There's a reason Robert Bigelow didn't share any of his findings with anybody after they vacated Skinwalker Ranch. It's because he knew. He figured it out. He's a brilliant billionaire. He's like, I already figured it out. I want to see what you come up with next, because I found the in thread that I needed to get to. You have to solve the next 20, 30 years of problems. So, yeah. Nice. I'm surprised. So those photos, there's one in there that I don't know if you guys saw. There's there's a laser coming up.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys were able to see that.
I didn't get that far in the pictures with them, but I can pull it up right now.
Yeah. So if I'm just going to guide you in this one, because that's the craziest photo out of all of those photos, and the explanation for it and what caused it is absolutely mind-boggling. So I don't know how high res this is, right? So it's kind of hard to see, and you might want to look at it like in the actual email file. If it's low quality, I'll send you an updated, but I'll break this down for you. So I have a kid, his name's Ev. He lives in Indiana. He's 18. He said, hey, I want to go camping for my birthday. I said, cool. Yeah, we'll go to Southern Indiana. So we went to a place near Bloomington, Indiana, which I had been a million times. I grew up in Bloomington essentially. And he said, can we go do some research? And I said, yeah, cool. We'll take this one thing. So this laser is pretty high powered, right? It goes about 3 miles up in the air. I did not have clearance for all the feds or the air traffic people that are, whoever's paying attention to this, that's going, we need to go get this guy, snap him like Men in Black do. No clearance. So if a helicopter or an airplane flew over it, whatever. That's like the least affecting thing in the atmosphere that they need to worry about. So this laser is going up about 3 miles. We had done some previous stuff to try to like build up the contact, like potentially coming through. So we picked this location because it's extremely isolated. There's no light pollution essentially whatsoever. And it's in a valley that's on a road. And you could drive to this road right now. It's about 90 acres of farmland to the right of us, and then another 80 acres of continued farmland with the nearest house and the nearest minuscule light. Okay, that wasn't a cat, so that's weird. That's one of those things.
Oh, I thought that was a cat.
No, not a cat. There's a cat here and a cat here. Anyway, so yeah, this is normal stuff. Welcome to, NARCOP headquarters, where everything gets really weird at like 10 p.m. at night, essentially. So yeah, the house is far away. It's about 2 football fields away. It's got this one tiny little light that they use. Basically, it's just like a marker, but it does not cast any light towards us really whatsoever. So as we're standing there, this is about, I think this was at like midnight. I feel like I'm wrong. I'll have to check notes, but this fog, this intense, really gnarly fog just kind of starts to settle in the whole entire area. And we had driven my truck out there, and when we pulled in, there was no fog. It was clear, like clear night. We could see through the headlights. We could see, all the high points of the road surrounding us. And I was like, okay, like we're best case scenario, probably about to have something pop up. So this fog settles in, and it settles really, really slow. And the only way to take a photo in this is essentially with a long exposure, right? So he's standing to my left, just behind me, and we're facing the laser. And I don't know if you can see it, but there's a black line that comes in from the top left of the photo. Just if you follow that black line down as close as it gets to the green laser, there's an outline of a black figure right there, right? So in real time, there's nothing there. We're not seeing anything. And the light is the laser is illuminating enough light to where it's like lighting the surrounding areas. And I took a series of photos. This was the clearest photo, but this showed up right as the photos are being taken, and we have no explanation for it. There is essentially like a CSI, a guy I know named David, who's a forensic officer currently employed by Atlanta PD, that like did his due diligence, like rigorously went through this photo to try to figure out what that figure was. What's interesting is, like I said, there's no physical aspect of us being able to see it in real time. we didn't notice that it was there until after the photo. And from later trying to like debunk it or try to get like size reference, it's about the same height as what a 6-foot human would be standing straight up. And there was a series of 5 photos taken, and it only shows up in 3 of them. So you know, this is one of those things. It's like there was some like predetermined mind work that had led up to this point in time. And then, you know, it's kind of like, okay, like, we're going to be here. We want you to come in. We're going to use this laser as a beacon. Please come and say hello or make contact if you would like to. This is the first time that I've ever had anything from that realm physically show up that I consider on Earth. We don't see a lot of physical interaction between our actual, like, the same plane that we stand on. It's very uncommon for people to have like ET interactions or like whatever, you know, seeing aliens standing in their room or physically standing in a location that you're in. So the whole thing is, I mean, it's like I said, it's been looked at by CSI. It's been viewed by quite a few other people, and there's no explanation. And this was in the middle of rural Indiana in August, I think it was like a Friday night, like just normal, like hanging out and like, yo, here's a laser. If you see the laser come in, beam Scotty down here so he says what's up, you know. This photo, I'm surprised, like, and maybe it's just because it's like the JPEG file is low or whatever, but most of the time when people see that photo and then the photo, the disappearing man, people are like, okay, like this is what's actually going on here, you know. And you can see the base of the laser too, which is kind of, it's wild. This one was like a big, I knew I was on the right path when this happened. And I knew that it wasn't only in Missouri, which was the other thing.
Yeah, I mean, I probably have 10,000 more questions, but
oh yeah,
I know.
I mean, I would love to have you back on one night.
Oh yeah,
and we can continue on. I think
I'd like to talk more about the expedition too later on too. I'm very interested in that because I'm a dyed in the wool skeptic. I need this.
He's open though. I should say that. I would say you're open to things, but
absolutely, yeah.
He wants to have an experience. He's like, until he experiences, I know him quite well. We're family. He's not gonna buy it until he has an experience.
Right, like you said, you're the Class A. If you know, it's got to be twerking in my lap before I believe it. You know, like
yeah. Well, I'll say this. So if you guys want to come, first of all, anytime you want to talk, I'm always available because it's like I said, like this is it's not a weekend thing for me. It's like a full constant. And the data just keeps coming in. It's continuous. And there's so many, just the way that I approach it, it's a lot different than most other people that look for Bigfoot, you know, and look into alien stuff. And there is a lot of kooky tech involved. I mean, this is like, you know, a movie camera that goes all the time. And I don't go outside of my house without it anymore because the potential of something coming through is pretty high at this. If you guys are like, yeah, we want to come on an expedition, honestly, like people get mad when I say this, but the hot spot is no longer the Pacific Northwest. It's Iowa, Missouri, a little bit of Colorado, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Southern Illinois, and Tennessee, Kentucky. That is the concentrated spot. We are seeing more reports coming in for those like 6 states than anywhere else. It might be a haul for you guys to come down the Southern Illinois, but from what I had happen alone last night, and then what I also had happen with these 3 other researchers, it was extremely, extremely like I'm 98% sure that they're there all the time. Right. And I would almost put money on it. Like, if you went to this one campground, and it's not just one campground, it's really like 120, 200 mile radius where these things are like pretty concentrated. And what's wild is if you know the hot spots that are in the region, they're all in the same stretch of forest, like or connected, right? If you want to have, come to that one and you'll be like, okay, this is weird. We're here. And what this psychopath is claiming with all these other crazy psychopaths is real. You know, so yeah. And I'll talk to Marianne. Like, the spots we usually do 30 people, but if I'm like, hey, these guys want to come down, we have to have, 33. And it's cool too. Like, she feeds you. There's presenters. Like, you learn how to an extent. We do 2-tiered night ops. So we'll go out at like 8 p.m., 9 p.m. And then another later group goes out at like 12 to or 11 to 2 if we want to. I'm always up walking around until like 4 or 5 a.m. because I know that's when stuff's going to come in. You learn a lot of skills. You'll learn how to cast. You'll learn how to actually look and scan the area around you and see signs of what you need to know to really pick up oh yeah, there's probably some activity in this area. I do a full rundown of tech stuff. So I bring a lot of instruments. I try to tell people this is what's good. This is how much you need to spend. This is if you're having issues with recorders or whatever, this is what could potentially be causing it. Like we do, she puts on really, really killer expeditions. We don't have people that leave and go, I didn't have anything happen, or I didn't learn anything, And just like you, there's been some highly skeptical people that have come in and it's now changed their mind. There's two individuals. They're from Texas, Heidi and Mitch, right? They both work in IT. Mitch is insanely skeptical. He's been on 2 expeditions with us. The last expedition was Northern Missouri. He had some really weird stuff happen right next to Heidi. They had electronic interference. They had 2 what people consider Class A sightings. And on the last day, I said, okay, are you hooked now or where are you at? And he's like, 100%. He said something that was really cool. He said, I never thought I would have to sit in the woods and try to define shadows. And I was like, dude, that's like the gnarliest thing anybody said to me. Like, that's exactly what's happening. You start having these things creep in and you're like, that's not a deer. That's not a person. Right. So it's a really good way to ease into it. And then what happens is you turn into an automatic psychopath and you're like, put me in the woods. I'm trying to see Bigfoot again. Or I want to hear doctor,
Well, it's like,
and it just keeps getting
from a hunter standpoint. I know when you get in that certain point of dusk right before dark, when you would walk out, your mind starts picking up on things. Yep. You start picking up on things like all of a sudden this group of leaves that you knew was leaves an hour ago, all of a sudden that looks like a shape of something.
It's not.
Yeah. It's like,
yeah.
So I know
it gets nerve wracking when, hunters experience it all the time. They have stuff they can't explain. What gets really crazy is when you start hearing breathing outside of your tent and you're like, that's not a person. Like no one's out, So yeah,
that's my scout leader.
Oh, you are?
No.
What's that?
I'm a scout leader.
Wait, sorry. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. I mean, we've had a couple. There's a guy who his name's Gary, Chris and Gary. I go to LB every time I go to LBL. They're there. Gary is like 6'5". He literally looks like Bigfoot. This dude was in the military, hyper skeptical, and was a scout leader. And he was the one that taught them how to hike in and survive and not die. Right. And we're in rural Missouri and we hear this sound, and he looks at me and he's like, I can't explain that one. And I was like, if anybody should be able to explain it, it's probably you, because you've been out in the wilderness nonstop, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah. And I can send you guys info too. And then seriously,
Cool.
like if you guys want to do another 85 interviews, I'm down.
I know, like
we are too.
We're coming on. We're coming up on 2.5 hours, and I got more questions, but we all have to work in the morning, so so it's
I still have to take my kids out on a night drive for.
There you go. And just to like end it for me is like, if anybody listens to this and they're in Missouri, or they're coming through Missouri, or they're near St. Louis, whatever, or they just have questions or want to contact me, it's an open invite. Shoot me an email. It's levi@narcop.org or contact@narcop.org.
Okay.
And I'm, like I said, I will share. I don't do the whole, you can't come to my area. I'm not sharing my findings or discoveries or evidence with you. I'm doing the exact opposite, because I want people to be like,
right,
I want to know what's going on, you know?
Awesome.
Because the government's not telling us what's going on, you know?
That government.
That goddamn government.
No, thanks for having me.
We all have the feelings of the government.
Thank you for coming on.
It was.
So I
and I'll send you guys some more photos and, you know, stuff too. So
awesome. I will.
Thank you so much.
I'll make sure, because you've been communicating with me, but I'll forward the pictures and everything to them, and anything else. Like, we could probably just get in a big thread. So
Any of those
like,
pictures,
if you guys have questions,
if we credit you, can we post them on social? Or I was just curious about that. Say, to just drum up some interest.
Let me send you like high res stuff instead of like shitty, like right before I jumped on. That way you have good stuff, and I'll send you some more too, because like I said, there's a ton. And if it honestly too, the other thing is if you post them, like, and someone knows what's causing the effect in the photo, please tell me, because I want to debunk this stuff. I don't want to be. I mean, I am the weird guy that's like got all this crazy evidence now, but I want to also be the weird guy that has what I thought was definitive evidence that I learned was not, because someone smarter than me, you know, pulled the, actually this is this. And it's like, okay, cool. I want that. Like, I want all that info.
Right.
So, I'll send you high res stuff, and then all the info to tag me or whatever.
Cool.
Just don't give any to the government. Okay. And if, you know, if you guys get raided, or you have the mini black or the black sedan sitting down, you know, from your house, or the SUV or whatever, you can blame it on me. Just, you know, don't ask me.
Are you threatening me?
That's my wife.
That's the flag.
It's Levi's fault.
You can say that, and I'll be like, it's not my fault, but it probably is.
There's a black sedan in my driveway, but that's just the girlfriend's, and I still have to be scared of her. So,
is it the girlfriend's though, or is she?
Yeah.
You know. Now that you mention it,
I like this guy.
She could be asleep.
She's almost too perfect, John.
There you go. That's the one to watch out for.
She was way too willing to get
There you go. I'm convinced mine is, you know, Chinese spy, and she'll smack me.
We really do appreciate you coming on. I think that was a lot of information, but I think it was all very good information. And we would, you know, we can definitely pick up this at a later day. I know you said you got some expeditions coming up, so we can definitely figure out another time to come on and just chat.
Oh yeah, I'll make time for you guys. You guys are great. You got me with the Chris Farley reference and the David.
Yeah, we got a lot of goofy. We are pretty goofy on our regular cast, but like when we have actual serious people on, we take it serious too. But we all know each other. We're goofballs and stuff. But.
You guys come on an interview or on an expedition, and you'll be like, this guy's, he's just making jokes the whole time, because that's what it turns into. I'm the same way. I hate being serious. I'd rather laugh and you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll connect again. Like I
All
said,
right.
I'll make guys.
Awesome, perfect. Well,
awesome.
Thank you again.
Thanks,
yeah, no
Levi.
problem.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you.
I'll see you guys. Yeah.